the 1st of December, where we're going to have Rosa Parks sitting on a bus on her way home. When the driver, she's in the neutral section, she was in compliance with the segregationist laws of Alabama. She had gotten on that bus, deposited her dime, got off, walked around, got to the back, and entered from the back. People say, oh, Rosa Parks was trying to start trouble. She was always within the rules on this one. She sat down in the neutral section because the black section was full and the white section wasn't. As the bus filled up, the bus driver wanted those seats, but they had a right to be there because the neutral section is exactly that. And so whoever got there first, that's the color it's going to be. There was a man sitting next to Rosa. It's Thursday, December 1st, 1955. There's a man sitting next to her, and there were two men on the other side of the aisle. So when James Tate said, give me those seats, Rosa said, no, why do you pick on us? But the man on the aisle, and I don't blame him. I cannot find it in my heart. I don't blame him at all. It's Thursday, and in those days you got what was called a pay envelope. If on Friday he's not there to get that pay envelope, he's worked a week for nothing because they won't give it to him and he's not able to sue or something like that. This man, I'm sure, has a wife, has children, has a mother, maybe a mistress, I don't know, but he needs his money, and I don't want to judge, but he needs his money. So he says to Miss Parks, I'm going to give him the seat. And she said, yes, okay. And she stood up. And when she stood up, James Tate thought he had won, that she was going to do as he had demanded. And he turned around to go drive the bus. But when he looked in the mirror, she was sitting. And he said, I'm going to have you arrested. And she said, with that quiet strength, you may do that. And as she sat there, I'm sure she counted off the days just like I did. It had only been 61 days since the resolution of the Emmett Till. It was time for the grown-ups to make a statement. Of course, the cops got on the bus and they arrested her. To the credit of the policemen, they didn't manhandle her, they didn't try to do anything, they just, kind of patted her on the elbow. One picked up her purse and she was arrested. The news spread like wildfire. And it always amazes me because nobody ever says, how come everybody knew that Rosa Parks was arrested? But she and Raymond and her mother lived in the projects. And projects, of course, the news just goes. And she was a regular bus driver, so everybody knew that she had to be on the bus. So people said Mrs. Parks was arrested. A woman named Joanne Robinson, who was head of the English department at Alabama State, and the newly elected president of the Women's Political Caucus. And she said, have the women meet me. She was in Piggly Wiggly. She bought her dinner, went home and cooked it. She had 2 sons. She fed her sons and her husband, gave the boys, put them to bed, said goodnight to her husband. People have said, well, why didn't the men go out? Why did they let the women go out? Well, it's Thursday night in Alabama. And if a bunch of black guys are hanging around Alabama State, a bunch of good old boys are rolled up, ugly things are happening. So I think sometimes people pick on the men, and you get tired of people picking on black men, because black men are good people. They have struggled to overcome a whole lot. I'm boycotting Precious, because I'm tired of every time you turn around and some black man humping his daughter, and she can't read. I mean, come on, don't we have another story someplace? So no, I think thank you. It's crazy. And if all you ever saw was The Color Purple, Monster Ball, and Precious, you would say, no wonder Negroes are crazy. I mean, if I saw that, I'd say something wrong with them too. What the hell is that? You just can't keep doing things like that. But Joanne wanted to have a boycott. She said, let's have a one-day boycott. Let's support Mrs. Parks. So what they did was they rolled off, they made 30,000 flyers or something like that. I know that you heard that the boycott started because the preachers announced in Sunday church that there should be a boycott. But you have to remember, 1, not everybody goes to church, and 2, a lot of people that go to church have cars. A lot of other people, you have to reach the people who are going to be on the bus, and that's going to be the juke joints. And that's who the women reached. And obviously the people were tired, the people's hearts were heavy. So when the buses rolled on Monday at 6:30, there's nobody on the bus. 8 o'clock, there was nobody on the bus. Mrs. Parks was arraigned about 10 o'clock that morning. She was, of course, found guilty. Nobody's on the bus. People stayed off the bus all day. But you know what I love about Negroes? And aside from that, we're nice. We are. I just really love the disingenuous way. As the boycott is going to go on, the sheriff, because we always have these crazy sheriffs, is complaining that, white women should not go pick up their maids. If they would do that, we could break the bus boycott, And so the white women were asking their maids, Maybelle, are you boycotting the bus? No, ma'am, I'm staying off them till the struggle's over. I just always love the way that they just, of course they supported the bus boycott. Are you crazy? So, On Monday, we have a mass meeting at Ralph Abernathy's church. And it's going to be Monday that we're going to meet the man that we are now celebrating. It's going to be Monday that he is going to come and speak to us. And he's going to ask the question. Martin Luther King was 26 years old. He's a baby. I'm 66 years old. Some of you are younger than that, some of you are older, but 26, you haven't even begun. The minute he walked up to that podium, he knew that a clock was ticking. He knew that he was not going to die of old age. He was not going to die in the bed. He was not going to play with his grandchildren. He was not going to pet his dog. He knew that his life was going to be just cut short and probably cut horribly short. But what we like about King is that he had the courage to do it. Courage is a very important aspect. You don't win all of the battles, and I wish somebody would tell that to Barack Obama. You don't win all of the battles, but you have to have the courage. No, you have to have the courage to fight it. And Barack has compromised way too much, and he has no, who cares what he says anymore? Because you know that if it doesn't work, all he has is ambition, and what we are needing is courage. We need somebody to stand up for the people. We need somebody to stand up against war. We need somebody to stand up, to have the courage to say, this is what I believe in, this is what I'm going to deal with. Martin knew that what he was doing was going to change everything. But he asked the question that needed to be asked, and he asked the question that we still ask. Shall we continue? He asked continue, and you can see it. Shall we continue? Because we already had something going. Shall we continue? And you and I, 40 years later, have still got to ask that question. Shall we continue? Shall we try to stop war? Shall we try to help the people that are in need? Shall we, as you did this Martin Luther King Day, shall we do something for the old people? Shall we help clear the brush? Shall we help make sure people have a warm